Imagine flying through perfectly clear skies. Then, without warning, your compass fails. Your radio goes silent. The ocean below has no witnesses, no escape, no explanation. For centuries, this place has challenged everything we think we know. And perhaps we've been asking the wrong questions all along. The lines drawn on the map suggest absolute precision. They trace a massive three-sided boundary across the western Atlantic, linking Miami, Bermuda, and Puerto Rico. Within this perimeter, popular lore claims hundreds of ships and aircraft have vanished without a trace. Yet, if you consult official maritime registries, this infamous danger zone simply does not exist. No international hydrographic organization recognizes its name. No government agency charts its official borders. Instead, the boundaries shift with each account, expanding and contracting to fit whichever tragedy needs an explanation. We are looking at a geographic phantom, a region defined not by physical coordinates, but by the changing lists of the lost. Before we can ask what is happening inside these waters, we must ask where these waters actually begin. On September 13th, 1492, 3 wooden ships drifted into the calm, uncharted waters of the Sargasso Sea. The crew of the Santa Maria was already tense, weeks away from any known coast. That night, Christopher Columbus looked down at his compass and noted something unsettling. The needle, which had pointed reliably toward the North Star for the entire voyage, had drifted. It now pointed a half-point northwest. By the next morning, the deviation had grown wider. This is the earliest written record of strange navigational behavior in these waters. The original ship's log is lost to history, but the entry survives through a faithful transcription by the Spanish historian Bartolomé de las Casas. In those same pages, Columbus documented another occurrence, a strange dancing light flickering on the distant horizon, appearing like a small wax candle rising and falling in the darkness. To the anxious crew, it was an omen. To Columbus, it was a practical puzzle. Centuries later, popular writers would point to this exact log entry as the birth of the Bermuda Triangle, using the admiral's own words to claim that ancient, unexplained forces had disrupted his instruments. Columbus was simply a navigator, observing a physical reality he did not yet understand. In July 1609, the English flagship Sea Venture ran aground on the reefs of Bermuda during a violent hurricane. The colonists spent 10 months stranded on the uninhabited islands before building makeshift vessels to continue their interrupted voyage to Jamestown. Among the survivors was the writer William Strachey, whose visceral eyewitness account of the howling winds, raging seas, and flashing lightning circulated widely in London, eventually inspiring William Shakespeare's The Tempest. Nearly 3 centuries later, this documented reality of ocean survival gave way to a darker, unverified legend. In 1881, the schooner Ellen Austin allegedly encountered a crewless derelict in the open Atlantic. In popular folklore, a salvage crew boarded the vessel, only for a sudden, thick mist to separate the ships. When reunited, the salvage crew had vanished without a trace. Yet, official port records, customs logs, and Lloyd's insurance registries show absolutely no record of this occurrence or any missing crew. The event remains a phantom of maritime lore, a mystery built on whispers rather than logs. In March 1918, the United States Navy suffered its largest non-combat loss of life when the USS Cyclops vanished. The steel-hulled collier had departed Brazil carrying over 10,000 tons of heavy manganese ore, bound for Baltimore with 306 people on board. Somewhere in the open Atlantic, the massive vessel slipped away. There was no warning. No desperate distress call was ever transmitted. No radio operator heard a final message before the silence took over. An extensive search swept the shipping lanes, but the ocean offered nothing. No floating debris, no oil slicks, no lifeboats. A ship longer than a football field had simply ceased to exist. The official military investigation ended without a conclusion. Investigators could find no physical trace, nor could they identify what brought the vessel down. It remains an unresolved void in maritime history, a stark reminder that a modern record can end abruptly, leaving only an empty ocean and an unexplained silence. On December 5, 1945, 5 TBM Avenger torpedo bombers, collectively known as Flight 19, took off from Fort Lauderdale for a routine navigation exercise. The sky was clear, but as the squadron flew eastward, the blue horizon dissolved. Lieutenant Charles Taylor, the flight leader, reported that both of his compasses had failed. Navigational confusion took over as visual landmarks disappeared. In the growing darkness, the radio signals faded. The Navy launched a rescue operation, dispatching a PBM Mariner flying boat to search the darkening waters. Within minutes of taking off, the rescue aircraft also vanished. A passing merchant ship reported a bright explosion in the sky, suggesting a catastrophic structural failure, but no physical trace of the search plane or the 5 bombers was ever found. 3 years later, in January 1948, British South American Airways lost the Star Tiger, an Avro Tudor aircraft carrying 31 people. The following year, its sister ship, the Star Ariel, vanished along a similar route. In both cases, the weather was moderate. Neither plane transmitted a confirmed SOS. They simply stopped communicating. In an era of fragile mid-century radio technology and limited search capabilities, the ocean kept its secrets, leaving behind a silence that would soon be filled by legend. On September 17, 1950, a brief Associated Press report compiled a list of unrelated aircraft and ship losses off the Florida coast, suggesting a strange pattern in these quiet waters. 2 years later, Fate magazine published a feature that traced a geometric border around these occurrences, linking them to a single geographic area. But the scattered reports lacked a unifying identity until February 1964. Writing for the pulp magazine Argosy, author Vincent Gaddis published an article titled "The Deadly Bermuda Triangle." By imposing a 3-sided boundary over the western Atlantic, Gaddis bound dozens of independent tragedies to a single name. This label transformed a list of isolated maritime accidents into a cohesive, enduring mystery. A simple geometric shape made the complex records easy to remember, forcing different events into a shared, dark narrative. It raises a quiet question. Once a boundary is drawn, how many more losses will expand to fit its frame? In 1974, Charles Berlitz published The Bermuda Triangle. The book sold over 20 million copies, turning a regional maritime rumor into a global phenomenon. Berlitz connected the sea's losses to the sunken ruins of Atlantis, alien abductions, time warps, and interdimensional portals. It was an era shaped by Cold War anxieties, where secret military projects and UFO sightings made the public highly receptive to the unexplained. The ocean became a blank canvas for human fears. But in 1975, an Arizona reference librarian named Larry Kusche began comparing these popular accounts with the historical record. His study, The Bermuda Triangle Mystery Solved, bypassed the folklore and tracked each incident back to original newspapers, weather logs, and official casualty reports. The patterns of the paranormal began to dissolve. Kusche found systematic errors, altered dates, geographic misplacements, distorted statements, and vessels that simply never existed. The anomalies, it turned out, were not occurring in the open Atlantic, but on the printed page. The question was no longer what lay beneath the waves, but why the world was so willing to believe the myth. A magnetic compass does not point to the geographic North Pole, it points to magnetic north, which is a shifting target in the Arctic. The angle between these 2 points is known as magnetic declination. To travel safely, mariners must constantly calculate this geographical variance. However, there is a narrow, shifting path across the globe where true north and magnetic north align perfectly. This is the agonic line. When a vessel crosses this invisible boundary, the compass requires zero correction. But Earth's magnetic field is fluid, and the agonic line drifts slowly westward over the decades. During the early 20th century, this line of zero variance sliced directly through the Bahamas. Navigators accustomed to correcting their instruments suddenly faced a changing baseline. A minor, unrecorded error of only a few degrees could quietly steer a ship miles off course into shallow, hazardous reefs. Yet this magnetic behavior is a global reality, not a localized anomaly. The Atlantic Ocean is not a static basin, but a system of massive moving gears. Sweeping northward along the American coast is the Gulf Stream, a powerful current moving faster than 5 miles per hour. It acts as an underwater highway, carrying millions of tons of water every second. When a vessel or aircraft goes down in these waters, the debris does not settle in a neat perimeter. Within hours, the current scatters wreckage across hundreds of miles of deep water, far from the last known coordinates. A missing ship leaves no localized debris field because the ocean carries the evidence away, not because an invisible doorway opened. This fast-moving warm water also collides with cold atmospheric winds, fueling sudden, violent squalls and unpredictable storms. Rogue waves, spontaneous walls of water reaching heights of nearly 100 feet, are documented physical realities in the North Atlantic. They can overwhelm even modern steel hulls in seconds. Combined with the treacherous, shallow reefs of the Bahamas, the environment itself is an unforgiving maze. Yet these hazards are not exclusive to these coordinates. They are the baseline realities of a violent ocean. Beneath the seabed lies another possibility: vast deposits of methane gas, trapped in icy crystalline lattices. In simulated environments, a sudden release of these hydrates sends a column of giant bubbles rushing to the surface, drastically lowering the density of the water. A ship caught in this frothing void instantly loses its buoyancy and sinks without warning. It is a terrifying, scientifically sound mechanism. Yet, marine geologists have found no physical evidence of any such catastrophic blowout occurring in this region. The idea remains entirely speculative. If the ocean floor offers no answers, we are forced back to the surface, to the fragile limits of human design and human judgment. Navigators miscalculating their position in the dark, radio equipment failing at the worst possible moment, crews exposed to sudden violent weather with outdated charts. Some tragedies are simply the quiet culmination of minor errors, compounded by an unforgiving environment. Yet, even when we account for these physical realities and human limits, some records remain stubbornly incomplete, leaving a void that science has yet to fill. To evaluate these claims, investigators must step away from folklore and audit the actual accident files. The primary records exist within the databases of the National Transportation Safety Board, the U.S. Coast Guard, and NOAA, which officially maintains that no supernatural forces exist in these waters, alongside global marine casualty registries. Because no official government map of the territory exists, establishing a scientific test requires defining an operational boundary and a specific timeline. A rigorous modern review analyzed every recorded maritime incident from 1982 to 2015. During this 33-year window, more than 9,000 marine accidents were documented across the wider Atlantic shipping lanes. When mapped against the informal boundaries of the region, only 361 of those incidents occurred inside the active zone. That represents approximately 4% of the total. But the most telling detail lies in how those 361 cases were logged. While historical legends claim hundreds of vessels vanished without explanation, the official databases tell a different story. Not a single marine incident during this entire period was classified as an unexplained disappearance. Every single file ended with a known, documented cause. A global comparison strips the region of its legendary status. In the South China Sea, the Indonesian archipelago, and the waters surrounding the Philippines, shipping losses are consistently much higher. These vast routes face frequent maritime disasters, driven by high traffic density, shifting reefs, and severe seasonal storms. In contrast, the casualty rate in the Western Atlantic is actually comparable to, or even lower than, many of the world's standard trade routes. The global marine insurance market quietly reflects this reality. Underwriters at Lloyd's of London, whose business relies on the precise calculation of geographic risk, do not charge an elevated premium for vessels transiting these coordinates. To the insurers, these waves are entirely ordinary. The records reveal a quiet, unsettling truth. There is no statistical evidence of exceptional danger in these waters. The ocean forgets the millions of vessels that cross its surface in silence, keeping only the quiet graves of the few that did not arrive. Our minds work in a similar fashion. We easily recall a single, dramatic loss, while completely forgetting the vast, uneventful crossings that happen every day. This selective memory makes the rare feel common. When a record is incomplete, we experience an instinctive urge to fill the empty space. We compress years of messy, complicated history into simple stories of sudden disappearance. We look at scattered, unrelated incidents and draw lines between them, creating shapes and patterns out of pure coincidence. If a detail matches our suspicion, we hold on to it. If it contradicts our theory, we quietly let it slide away. This is how a myth secures its hold. A rumor, when repeated often enough, begins to carry the weight of documented truth. Fear travels faster than facts, and uncertainty, over time, transforms into folklore. The physical waves of the Atlantic are indifferent. They are devoid of ancient secrets, portals, or hidden anomalies. The coordinates of this danger do not exist in the water. They are absent from physical maps. They exist only in our thoughts. When we look out at the empty horizon, searching for patterns in the dark, the true mystery reveals itself. We are left to wonder why we are so desperate to find a shadow in the quiet. Today, we map every wave with absolute precision, yet we still crave the comfort of a myth. The coordinates of this mystery were never drawn in water, but in the deep architecture of the human mind. In an endlessly charted world, perhaps the truly terrifying prospect is not the unknown, but an empty horizon with nothing left to hide. What shadows do you still search for?